Sup you beautiful people. Hope you've had a fantastic day. Welcome back to another new episode of What If Naruto Became the Master of Angron. If you guys enjoyed this what if, comment down below and let me know. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel after watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So now let's start this video. Despite hosting life, Nigeria was very much a barren world. Outside the grand city of Deshi lay scorching deserts, and beyond them, freezing mountains. Everything in between simply wasn't fit for human settlement. None could reliably exist outside the hive cities without extraordinary aid. What wasn't desert was mountains, and what wasn't mountain was mostly, well, dead, for lack of a better word. In the old days, many a man and more than a few women went out down to the deserts to die when they grew weary of life, as many on Nigeria often did in those days. Not so today. Isha sauntered out into Nigeria's desert without fear, hip swing with every step as she led Naruto after all. Well, not really him, it was one of his countless. What did he call them again? Shadow clones. Yes, that was the word. Alas, the original slumbered in his tent, currently sleeping off his battle with Nergal. By her blessing he would sleep soundly today, shielded from the foul depredations of the warp and slumber. She couldn't protect him for long, not while she herself was still recovering, but she could grant her champion at least a day of peaceful slumber. He'd earned that much. She would shield him with her very soul if need, her body, her flesh and more. Naughty mother. Her smile faded a little as Slaanish's voice whispered in her ear, a dark caress. Isha gave her the greatest insult one could give to an enemy. She ignored her, paid her no mind at all. And why shouldn't she? She felt strong. With the death of Nergal insomuch as an entity of the warp could be killed, she had reclaimed a small semblance of her lost power. It seemed to grow a little more every day. Nor was the energy Naruto lent her so easily spent. She'd hoped to expend the bulk of it in reforging her Wraithbone spear, but much of it still lingered, filling her with light. Perhaps it would never truly fade away and she was empowered anew, his strength added to her own as she reclaimed her ascendancy once more. She rather liked that idea. Humming, she glanced over her shoulder at her champion's shadow clone, and smiled in what she hoped was a subtle manner. Evidently not. Because the doppelganger flushed, scratched the back of its head, and averted its gaze with a nervous laugh. Isha caught a glimpse of herself in his eyes and preened a little as she hadn't in nearly an eon. She may be able to change her appearance as she pleased, but she liked this form. By his own admission, Naruto liked women with red hair. How terribly bold of him. Very brave indeed. Why was she acting in such a manner toward a mere clone, you ask? Simple. You see, Naruto had shared a fascinating secret with her before he'd gone to sleep. His creations shared a myriad of memories. Not just amongst themselves, but with their creator. When this copy eventually dispelled, the original would receive its memories and emotions alike. She intended to make some good memorable ones, the better to further her rapport with him. These scorching sands didn't bother her in the least. On the contrary, they warmed her bare feet to tickle her toes. Searing gusts of fell wind whipped by, tugging at her face to flow through her scarlet tresses, and she merely hummed. Sandstorms pelted her skin, and she only smiled as her crimson mantle swayed to and fro. Until it didn't. With but a wave of her hand, she banished the sandstorm, the better by which she might see what she was about to do. Insofar as she was concerned, these brittle conditions were but a gentle caress compared to Nergal's garden. And to think, she'd almost forgotten what freedom felt like. What bliss. Watch closely, now. Naruto's shadow clone saluted smartly. Isha beamed and strode ahead of him, eyes glowing green. For you see, today was a lovely day. Clad in a new gown of flowing white and gold that clung snugly to her body, the Ildari goddess took a longest survey of her scoured surroundings, considering the best place to start. Here seemed as good a spot as any, she supposed. She had hoped for a bit more sunshine to work with, but beggars couldn't be choosers, she supposed. As a goddess of life, this barren world was an affront to her sensibilities. So she went about fixing it as only she knew how. Striding forward, Isha stretched out her senses and began to hum while she worked. And what a work it was. One does not simply terraform a dying world, let alone breathe life back into it. Unless one was a recently freed and newly empowered goddess, of course. Then one could do all the terraforming and breathing one wanted. Everywhere she walked, grass sprouted. When she raised her arms, trees grew. At her whisper, flowers bloomed underfoot. Her very breath lowered the scorching temperatures, cooling the climate, and creating just enough moisture in the air to conjure clouds and create rain, allowing life to further flourish. Even after all these years, she still had it. Raising her arms higher still, she basked in the deluge with a laugh, wholly uncaring as it soaked her dress through. Somewhere behind her, Naruto's shadow clone sputtered incoherently at the sight. Watching, was he? Naughty boy. Beaming inwardly, Isha began to sing, weaving a new melody of creation. As she did, the sudden rainstorm abated, and fresh fruit bloomed from the very trees she had conjured. Plucking one such morsel free from a dangling branch, she raised it up to her lips and bit into it, making certain it tasted good and proper. The crisp tart taste flooded her mouth, and she hummed happily. Success. And on her first try at that, what luck. She'd learned to be rather careful about that last bit. What was healthy for an Eldari wasn't always good for humanity. When she'd inadvertently peered into Naruto's mind, she'd gained a great deal knowledge on what humans she refused to call them monkey preferred to consume, and what environments they thrived in. So in lieu of that, apples and oranges it was. For now, that would have to do. Besides, she could always create more once she recovered. Releasing her hold on the forest she'd grown, Isha stepped back, standing in the shadows of the thick canopy she'd created. The effort had winded her, but already she felt her strength returning. Who knew what else she might be capable of? Miles away, she could feel the Emperor's alarmed attention on her. Though he'd gone out with his son today, she was well aware of his concern towards her. Doubtless he had noticed her little display just now. Let him see. Let him know. Let him be wary. And well that he should. She was unmatched in the realm of biomancy, almost as much as she was with Wraithbone. He seemed terribly interested in that last part, given its properties. Tough. Naruto had more than earned those secrets. He had not. If he wished to propose an alliance, he would have to be nice to her, not regard her as another tool in his arsenal. She wasn't at all surprised when he sent a mental message her way. I will be watching you. Watch all you like. She shrugged a shoulder. I care not. But there was one for whom she did. From there, she turned an amused eye toward his shadow clone, only to find him balking at her, utterly incredulous. Surprise, was he? Excellent. Striding towards him, she bent down to look her champion's copy dead in the eye, planting both hands on her knees, as she leaned low with a sultry smile. And if it just so happened to grant him a view of her bountiful rain-soaked bosom within her dress, well, surely it was an accident, no? If questioned on the matter, she could always claim that she didn't understand human customs. But flirting was fun. Isha tilted her head, red hairs swing. Are you impressed? Lacking the eloquent faculties of its master, the copy managed a stiff nod. Good. Back to your master, now. She raised a finger, traced it along the length of his jaw, then poked it between his eyes. The doppelganger dispelled with a yelp and a startled rush of smoke. Naruto would be in for quite the surprise when he awoke. Recording complete, Isha closed her eyes, turning her senses outward once more. Not to create, but rather to speak, to deliver the message she should have sent the moment she escaped her captivity. It had been selfish of her to delay this long, but no longer. It was time to send the glad tidings to her people. Not all would accept her call, nor would they be willing to work in the brave new era she and her champion sought to create. But some would. That was enough for her. She put out the call. Hear me, my children. I live. There is hope here. There is safety. There is love. And with 3 little words, the galaxy changed anew. Come to New Syria. What have you done? The confrontation proved remarkably swift. Isha almost found herself pleasantly surprised. If only because she hadn't expected the Emperor of Mankind to react quite so swiftly in regards to her message. In hindsight, she supposed she really shouldn't be surprised at all. Of course he'd notice her declaration. She'd hardly been subtle about it now, had she? Thus, when he came storming into their tent, she wasn't overly alarmed. He was practically a god as she was. It was well within his ability to create an avatar and split his attention between her and his son. Thus while the Emperor enjoyed the day with Angron, he was also simultaneously here, scowling at her, scolding her, on the verge of shouting. Please lower your voice. She ran a hand through Naruto's hair as the blonde slumbered, head in her lap. He's trying to sleep. I will wake him. You shall not. She set her champion down and stood quickly, moving to block him with her body. He's exhausted. The Emperor paused, considering her with his keen golden gaze. He does not know what you have done. He shall when he awakens from arrested sleep. She emphasized the word. Not before. The Emperor rumbled at that, low and deep in his throat. You acted without his sanction, then. I am sure he would understand. No, he intoned, voice brimming with quiet fury. If you wish to be alive at the end of this conversation, you will not tell me half-truths. You will speak the truth, or you will never speak again. Oh? A threat? From this man. So that was how this conversation would go, then. How unfortunate that he allowed his fear to control him. Syria had never been the warmest of worlds, but here in this moment, Isha felt the temperature in the tent plummet. Her heart skipped a beat, and she found herself glancing back to Naruto, but no, he did not rise, and would not for some time. He needed to rest after such a taxing battle, else his very soul might crumble, and then where would they be? Thus it fell to her to defend him until he awoke. Nysaria does not belong to you any more or less than it does me. She spoke slowly, choosing her words with great care. I command no one, least of all my champion. Your champion? The Emperor looked to Naruto, considering. Have you marked him? Not yet, no. She lifted her chin, refusing to be cowed. I have only sent a message of hope to my little kin. I made no attempt to hide it. Here at last, his golden gaze dimmed, if only for a moment. I am aware of this. Your forthrightness does you credit, but... She flicked a hand at him in annoyance. Do not use that word. The Emperor paused. However. Isha scoffed. However is not but. It sounded a feeble defense, and they both knew he was anything but. Because he looked to Naruto and sought a new avenue of attack instead. You are fond of him. I am. Once more she moved to place herself firmly between the two of them. His is my world. Were it not for him, I would not be here. You are Xenos. You do so enjoy throwing that word around, don't you? She clicked her tongue at him. We are on the same side. And what side is that? That which sides against chaos. She flung up her arms with an exasperated shout. Nurgle is already crippled by our combined efforts. Think of what might befall the others if we but cooperate. The peace we could bring to this fractured age. I am not contemplating cooperation at present. His voice cut through her argument like a blade. I am considering other avenues. Her eyes whitened. Surely he did not mean. No. He wouldn't. Who was she kidding? The Emperor absolutely would. We would tear this world asunder, you and I. His face closed down. I know. All would be destroyed. I know. Everything, and everyone your son has saved, would die. Here at last, something akin to a grimace passed across his face. I know. I seek only to give my people a place of respite, she said. Shelter from this storm. And a foothold into the Imperium, he accused. That is untrue. Is it? Isha let one hand fall to her side, brushing her hip even as the other curled into a claw, ready to summon a tangle of vines at the slightest provocation. For his part, the Emperor watched her like a hawk, yet did not move, nor did he deign to draw his blade. For that, at least, she was grateful. She had no desire to face that baneful blazing blade. He took a step forward and when he did, she backed up a step despite herself. I wish only to save my little kin. I have no designs on you and your empire. Not that it would matter if we did. A grimace overtook her face at the reminder of how low they had fallen. We are in no position to harm you. At present, he corrected. Why must you treat everyone and everything like a threat? Because I carry the weight of humanity on my shoulders. His voice drowned hers out. I cannot buckle. It was all falling apart. Everything Naruto and Angron were working towards, all they hoped for, all they could ever be. She must do something, now. I am not asking you to. Frantic, she placed one hand to her bosom, hoping to impart the sincerity of her plea. Only that you show patience. Nysaria has little value to you. Its government, if you could even call those so-called high riders such, has been toppled. What can it possibly offer you? The planet shall serve as a foothold. Against what? Something dark and furious bloomed within her heart, and her tongue betrayed her. Are you that afraid of me? It was the wrong thing to say and she realized it a heartbeat later. Because the Emperor's blade whipped up to kiss her pale neck, just shy of beheading her. Isha didn't flinch, barely even blinked as he looked down to find her wraithbone spear planted beneath the vulnerable seam of his armpit, where the armor was weakest. Is this how you wish him to wake? She hissed out a furious breath, little more than a whisper. To see us both at one another's throats, all because we're too afraid of what might be. That boy has brought something this universe sorely needs, and you would throw it all away. His brow furrowed, but he didn't break their stalemate. And what has he brought to us? Hope. She lowered her spear a fraction of an inch. Did you not see it yourself when you first laid eye on him? And what would your son have become without him? Tilting her head, she struck another verbal blow before he could muster resistance. Not the noble red angel this planet so adores, no. He would have become a monster, a beast, broken beyond repair. Now he will become a paladin of peace, a warrior of truth. My son aside, the Emperor scowled in stoic silence, but not for long. You know well what your people have done to mine. The bad blood between us cannot be so easily quelled. Her ears drooped in despair, if only because he spoke the truth. My little kin have wronged yours. That much, I do not deny. They were wrong. Misguided. Would that I could have steered them from such a path. But I am here, now, and Assyrian's edict no longer binds me, for it died with his death. I can make the Eldari so much better. If you would but let me. His blade pushed into her throat, and though it drew a hiss of pain from her, she didn't yield. She could have lashed out. Hurt him as he was even now hurting her. Instead, she took a leap of faith and did the unthinkable. She cast her spear aside. It landed at his feet with a dull clatter, leaving her unarmed. Or you can kill me here and now and damn the universe. She spread her arms wide, opening herself to him. The choice is yours. There it was, the die cast, her gamble made. But she died. Well, she didn't want to think of that, but she knew Naruto would understand. He would be aggrieved by her death, but she knew he could move past it in the fullness of time. She hoped it would not come to that. Truly, she did not wish to die. She wanted to live. She wanted to see little red-headed children with blue eyes and whiskered cheeks running amok underfoot. The Emperor drew a deep, shuddering breath, and lowered his weapon. As she released a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding, nearly sagging to the floor. It was only her pride as a goddess that kept her upright. Your children may not tolerate your proclamation, the Emperor said. Some will almost certainly rebel. She sniffed. I am their mother. If they lash out, I shall discipline them. Kill them, if need be, though the thought grieves my heart. Sometimes, children needed to be disciplined, lest they become unruly. And her little kin had been unruly for so long now. The master of mankind stared at her for a long moment, seemingly grappling with something before he spoke. I would like to request your aid in terraforming a certain world. Her ears wiggled happily. You had but to ask. Cooperation achieved. Sinch was a schemer. Schemes within schemes within schemes. He had plans for his plans, of his plans, by his plans. Such was his way. After all, he did not wish to see the great game end so soon. To clear the board was to start anew after all, and he had so very many pieces to play with now. The goddess issue was one of them, though she realized it not. But now she'd gone and done something interesting. A merry titter escaped him as he watched the alliance take tentative shape. He could feel the very fabric of the warp shift with this new pact, frail though it was. Korn and Slonish would hate this, but he found it delightful. Change was chaos. Chaos was good. Good was great. The blonde one understood. He was a trickster. A prankster. He too was a changer of ways in a sense, though he did not yet realize it. Everywhere he went he sowed the seeds of change, and what sweet seeds they were, mere sprouts ready to bloom given the right nudge, all thanks to him. In his human need, his human greed, he would change a great many things in the years to come. What fun, what fun. He didn't regret saving him for a moment. Truly, it would have been a waste to give him to Korn, and while Slonish might be amusing little purple children, crazed nieces and nephews bouncing upon his knees, they would have kept him for themselves, for battles or cuddles or warp what else, never once letting him out of their sight. Boring, boring, boring. He couldn't have that. But neither could he let things become too stable, either. Now how to make things even more interesting. Oh. Now there was an idea. It was a mad scheme, but many of his often were. A flick here, a twist there, a whisper in the right ear, a bit of shape-shifting, and it all caused such glorious chaos. The changer of ways went to work and the grand game spun on. Korn cares not from where the blood flows, only that it does. Such was the way of Korn. The whiskered one was of blood and battle. Sooner or later he would come to Korn. In the end, Korn would triumph. Blood for the blood god. Skulls for the skull throne. Slonish watched. Waited. Watched again, now. She found herself curious. Intrigued by the spectacle unfolding before her. Ever eager to devour Mother, yes, but curious nonetheless. Mother liked this glowing one, which made her want him, too. She wondered how he would taste. But for now, she would watch. And wait. Her time would come. Yet waiting was so terribly boring. Perhaps a peak. Just a little. Talia Tarvane was not a good Eldari. She was elder, she was a soldier, and good soldiers followed orders. Or so she had, once upon a time, 3 years ago, before everything went wrong. When their foreseers first spoke of a great threat to all Eldari kind, she had believed it. She had been an integral part of the kill team sent to eradicate the boy, and prevent the untold destruction he would wreak in years to come. The theory was simple, the concept sound. Kill the boy, save the universe. But the boy was no mere boy, no base beast of flesh. He was something worse. He was powerful. He was a monster. He torn her kin apart. Stepped right out of his pot and ripped good Eldari apart like they were made of paper. Her commander was torn limb from limb and used as a flail to flatten their fellows. Their armor meant little and their weapons even less. Shooting the boy had only enraged him, driving him into a towering rage. And her squad paid the price. Talia would never forget that horrific sight so long as she lived. The blood, the bones, and the screams. By the Great Mother, the screams. He hadn't even touched her. Didn't even see her, most likely. There was no need. A stray stone debris from the battle most likely brained her in the temple, and that was it. Her resolve shattered, snapped like a dry twig underfoot. Rather than hold the line and die with her fellows, she had fled, like a coward. Dazed and sporting a concussion, she'd limped down the mountainside until she passed out. When the slavers fell upon her she was delirious. No match for the monkey, and the she once would have scoffed at. They took her and shackled her, forced her to do their bidding. 3 years passed. Of slavery. Of being forced to fight in the arena for her very life. 3 years of misery. 3 years of pain. 3 years of fending off grasping hands, fearing she might be violated at any moment. Until they came. The boy she'd once sought to slay was the Red Angel now, and he walked with a man who glowed like a god. They had broken her chains and set her free. But it did not stop there, for the glowing one had freed Isha. She had seen her from afar, watched from the city as mother brought life to an arid desert. Just as she saw her now, walking among the people, blessing them with small gifts of fruit. A noble goddess dared to sully her feet and walk amongst mortals, feeding them as though she were some mere matron, not living creation made manifest. She dared not approach, for she felt unworthy. And yet the blonde monkey dared to associate with their goddess. As though he had any right to her. No more right than she had to the Red Angel. Perhaps she should not call him that. Were it not for him and his son, she would still be in chains. Those filthy nobles had been preparing to put nails of some sort in her head, and she had seen what those foul things did to others. And they had freed her goddess. Gratefulness clashed with pride, and hope warred with innate despair. Surely the goddess would not take him as her consort. It would be foolish to think otherwise. And yet, his skills. Even now she watched an army of this Naruto casually march past her, nearly 1,000 strong, carrying building materials. There were more of them just past the arena where the High Riders once dwelt. Countless copies all at work, some building, others teaching and still more working, always moving. Like a hive of insects. Each of them wore his face. Spoke with his voice. Acted like him. Such. Should not be possible. Yet she could hardly argue with the facts now, could she? Was it cloning technology? Did the monkey, don't call him that, had access to such advanced relics? Was it the plan? Was this a trap? And her kin were coming here, none the wiser of what awaited. The craft worlds must be told. They must know of this. She must find a way off-world and soon, regardless of the hate she might feel towards her red savior. Her people had received the proclamation, but they did not know of this. They must be warned, must be told. A shadow fell over her. With it came a pale hand to settle upon her shoulder. It clamped down with the strength of eons, all but locking her in place. What have we here? A soft, motherly voice crooned. One of my little kin. Up to no good, are we? Talia swore virulently in her head. Language, little one. She looked up and gulped in abject terror. Hello, my goddess. Isha smiled. It was not a nice smile. Greetings to you as well, child. Let us converse. One word came to Talia's mind. Just the one. Meep. Adrenal evolved were coiled from her vision. What has she just seen? Was it hope? Someone was singing. It was a strange song. A dangerous song. It neither soothed nor settled Naruto, but left him feeling energized yet pained, as though someone had poured scalding fire into his very veins. Emotions welled up in him nearly all at once. He tried to fight them, tried to resist, but they were so very loud, pervading every inch of his being. So much noise. Naruto opened his eyes and looked up. A stranger with palish and hair gazed back at him with bright violet eyes, her face wickedly beautiful, body draped in a gown of diaphanous purple silk. He could practically see right through it and gaw. Sputtering, he looked away, but not before her gentle red lips corked in a small smile. Good morning, beloved. Her voice sent a silent thrill shooting through him, a feeling he'd never felt before. Biwa. Belatedly, he realized his head was resting in her lap. Well, this was mildly alarming, wasn't it? Not a terrible position, this. He'd been here before with other ladies, usually after a long battle. He never quite understood why they'd insisted upon such. There was just one problem. This wasn't Isha. Oh, there was a certain resemblance to her, make no mistake, but there was something innately wrong with that smile of hers. Did you like my song? She asked, and again, he had to fight down the urge her words sent through him. I composed it just for you. Naruto looked left, right, found only a strange violet void around him, and sighed. Still better than Nergal's so-called garden, but... Nergal? Shit. This was the warp. That settled things, then. He was dreaming yet again, wasn't he? And here he thought himself safe from these bastards. He scowled at her. This is a dream. The stranger smiled and stroked his hair, followed his cheek, causing the flesh there to tingle painfully. Then it is a good dream. Allow me to make it better. Quick as can be, laid him down, tumbled over him, planted herself in his lap and ran a hand down his chest. Stranger danger. He seized her wrists, crushing it in an ironclad grip. Stop. She ground her hips against his ever so subtly. Is that what you truly wish? Anger sparked in him. I said. Stop. The bones of her wrists shattered under his grip, and he let go, leaving her arms dangling uselessly at her sides. To his horror, she cried out, not in pain, but delight now as she leaned back atop him, eyes half-lidded with rapturous joy, practically vibrating in her glee. Yes, that's the way. Hurt me more. Naruto recoiled in sheer disbelief. Errors were made. Aren't you interesting? She thrust her face against his with a lurid leer, forcing him to lean back in disbelief as she cooed at him. Most would have given in by now, but still you resist. I want you even more now. Her words were subsequently muffled against his palm as he pushed her back, then down, pinning her to the ground beneath him. From there, he planted a knee between her breasts to keep her there and glared down at this wild, wanton woman. Was it just his imagination, or did the soil pulse beneath them just then? As though it were alive. His head was buzzing. Something or someone was roaring in his ears. Ignore it. Drown it out. Block out the noise. The strange woman leered up at him, practically panting. Harder. He reared back, disturbed and disgusted, brow furrowed in contempt. Who are you? As though challenged by that very word, the stranger became so much mist beneath him, causing him to stumble forward. What in blazes? One who craves you. Her lips brushed his ear from behind, and he whirled, only to find her gone. Thirst for you. The ghostly hand ran against his back. Wishes to show you such pleasure as you've never known. Stomping, he ducked low and caught her by the throat, only for her to become fog in his grasp. Laughter echoed within it. You do not know me yet. But you will, in the fullness of time. I can be patient. I'll be good, no matter how much you hurt me. For some reason, that made him snort. I'll do a lot more than that if you don't show yourself. As you wish. You were protected for a time, but no longer. Movement in the mist behind him. He stepped back as the stranger re-emerged to loom large over him. All pretense of humanity had been cast aside. Where once she'd seemed a harmless girl, he now looked upon a ghastly lamia, an eerie cross between snake and a well-endowed woman with not a stick of cloth to be seen upon her body. Worse, her arms were restored, and now, much to his chagrin, she bore an eerie black crown atop her head, the latter of which bore a wicked violet jewel. It seemed to shimmer in the low light, and he forced himself to look away from it. Her eyes lit up. You're strong. Good. I like the strong ones. They last the longest. He scowled at her. This from a chaos demon. I am indeed of chaos. She smiled at him, her mouth just a touch too wide. But you do not know me. I am every touch, every caress, every whisper of delight. There you shall find me. You may have heard the tune of Tsinj, the cruelty of corn, the noxious fumes of Nurgle, but not I. You never heard my song. Until now. For a moment a terrible weight pushed down on him, until he pushed back. Her gaze cut into him like a scalpel, but he resisted the knife and met her gaze. A strange feeling scratched at him and he strangled it in his chest as his heart hitched. You look upon Slonish. The pressure intensified. A thin line of blood ran down his nose, hastily wiped away. Must resist. His stubbornness seemed to disappoint her. You've never known desire, have you? Only foolish, childish love. How sad. Such things I could teach you. You don't know me. Oh, but I do. In an instant she was up in his face, tracing a hand against his jaw until he slapped it away. You see, she crooned, I find this rather fun. He lashed out, only for her to vanish. I only crave your assistance and your adulation. Sengun smashed into her chest, only for her to shatter and reform. That's right, she purred. Keep resisting. You will honor me in other ways. Not just you, but your children and their children, and their children's children, all those who follow in your footsteps. Steeling himself, he conjured his staff up into his right hand. Unless I kill you. Ha! That made her giggle giddily, a low sensual sound that sent a shiver shooting through him. You just might, in the end. But until then, such fun it will be. His staff flitted out and struck her upside the head, cracking her crown. This time, she recoiled with a pained cry. Gotcha. So mean, she slithered back his way. I do not wish to kill you. I only wish that you become what you were meant to be. He considered her for a moment, then frowned. You can't kill me here, can you? Or hurt me? Slonish was silent. Can you? No response. The grin split Naruto's face. Didn't think so. Impudent. He didn't expect the chaos goddess to banish her snake tail and take human form once more. Certainly not cross both legs beneath herself, huff, and hover in the air like some spoiled princess. Nurgle was stronger than I. Now he is dust. It will take him eons to recover. I, on the other hand, have never been more powerful. You would be wise not to provoke my wrath. Her strength didn't come from plagues or battle, or insidious change-bearing secrets, but something far more dangerous. Temptation, lust, desire. And no sign of Kurama to help him here. The foxy friend is quite busy repairing your body. Even if you weren't, it wouldn't matter. She shook her head, pale hair swaying as she grinned eerily, eyes agleam. You know me now. All hunger, all desire, all succumb. You will be no different. They'd see about that. You're awfully chatty for a chaos god. Her eyes flashed, not with anger, but smug satisfaction. Because you're only speaking to a very small shard of me. She made a pinching motion between her fingers and licked her lips. The loss of such would barely bother me in the least. I wouldn't make the same mistake as Nergal. Like him, I can play the waiting game, but unlike him. Naruto raised his staff to ward her away, but it didn't stop her from prattling on. It irks me to admit it, but you are an anomaly. Anyone else would have gone mad in my domain by now, she said. Yet still you smirk at me. How infuriating. We both have the ability to end each other's life, and yet here we are, unable to do so. Something prevents us. Do you know what that is? He raised his staff, ready to strike her down. Determination. Boredom, she wagged a finger at him. Even if I could kill you here, I won't. You have upheaved the very fabric of the warp in a way that hasn't been done since he betrayed us. But unlike him, you can be taken, you can be tempted, you can be turned. It's merely a matter of waiting. Her lips brushed his cheek. Do not make me wait long, golden one. She poked his forehead and he jolted awake. Praise the Red Angel. Blessed be his name. Hail to the breaker of chains. Angron had grown used to the people. To the stairs. He mostly assuredly was not used to being praised as he walked about the market. Damn it, he just wanted a bite to eat. Was that so much to ask? They do not comprehend your greatness, my son. Kinda wish they'd let me be. The emperor, his father in blood, if not deed, seemed mildly bemused by his plight, if distracted. Angron spared him a glare as he bit into another apple, tore a great big chunk out with his teeth. Weird old man. He wasn't his father. Not really. He knew who was. But his da had asked him to try and get to know him better, so he would. Well, he would try. How do you feel about Xenos? Well, that question was out of the blue. You mean aliens? He shrugged a broad shoulder, still a boy at heart as he chewed on his prize. Not sure, to be honest. A bunch of them attacked me when I first landed here. The emperor twitched. But the one that we freed was crying. She hugged me and warm lips ghosting across his cheek. We were wrong about you. Ja. Probably shouldn't mention that last bit. He paused, saw a small child in their path, and handed his half-eaten apple to her. She needed it more than he. He could always purchase another. She accepted it with watery eyes and a trembling smile. Thank you, Mr. Angel. She need not say such. Her smile was reward enough. Angron patted her head in passing. You care for them? I do, he answered his father. Someone must. His father's face grew contemplative at that. I see. And then, suddenly apropos of nothing, would you like to meet your legion? Angron perked up. I have a legion. You do? His genocide nodded. A great many noble warrior sons much like you, sired from your gene seed. His brain fizzled. Gene seed. The hell is that? His father chuckled. It almost sounded genuine. Was it? He knew the emperor wasn't entirely altruistic. This benefited him somehow. He just couldn't figure out what his angle was. I could bring them here, if you wish. He frowned. Will they be loyal to me? Unflinchingly so. Dad could use the reinforcements. Or maybe better yet. Maybe he could use the emperor instead. Dad would stop him if things got out of hand. Wouldn't he? Apparently, he had slept for an entire day. Naruto was somewhat appalled to realize he had, if only because an attendant had to inform him of such. It was almost the best sleep he'd ever had. Isha had proven a woman of her word, bar that teeth encounter with Slaanesh. He'd awoken feeling rested and healthy, hale and whole in body, if not entirely spirit. You're welcome. And you should have stayed with me, he countered. I didn't exactly enjoy having to fend off another demon by myself. They're getting that bold. You have no idea. A few quick questions confirmed that Isha was off on an errand. Angron was busy with the imperially needed to have a word with that one, and for once, he found himself alone. Naruto didn't like being alone. It brought back bad memories, among others. He had the most curious memory about her from one of his shadow clones, but he couldn't be certain if it wasn't a trick of Slaanesh. At least Acorn made sense. Maim, murder, mangle. None of this subtle shit. He needed to work on a shield of some sort at this rate. He was going to suffer a visit every time he drifted off, and he wasn't about to deal with that again. The thought did not please him. Something brushed his leg as he sat up. What's this? A piece of parchment evidently, and etched into it, words written in a rough hand. He picked it up and read. My dearest champion. I am rather unskilled at penmanship, but I hope this letter finds you well. I've discovered one of my little kin on this planet, and gone to interrogate her in the hopes of learning what has transpired in my absence. I shall return soon. I pray that you have a deep and peaceful slumber free from the warp, and that you enjoy the memory I've left with your doppelganger. I look forward to speaking with you about a great many things. Ever yours, Isha. He set the letter down and blinked. Ever yours. His face went red. Isha in the rain, her dress soaked through. Her leaning forward to smile at him, bosom swing as she laughed. A finger flicked his forehead as she smiled. Several things added up at once. Wait a damn minute. Naruto blinked, dumbfounded. He blinked hard, twice. Am I dating a goddess? His brain fizzled out as Kurama laughed. What was he supposed to do about that? He'd never been with anyone before. Unconsciously, he clutched the letter closer to his chest ever so slightly. Kurama noticed and pounced. If you're so opposed to the idea, then why are you holding on to that? Before Naruto could contemplate that, a shimmer of light appeared before him, revealing a beaming spectral figure. Hello, there. He was certainly very red. He took the boy, for he wasn't quite a young man, in at a glance. Long red hair, flowing crimson robes, scarlet skin. Clad in a flowing robe, his eyes gleaming merry and bright. The standoff lasted a moment more, neither party speaking. And then the lad spoke, voice a confused chirp. You're not father. Naruto squinted. You're right. I'm not. Was this another one of the Emperor's kids? The newcomer seemed a bit sheepish at that. Well, your presence was just so bright, that I assumed you were him. Sorry, I'm being terribly rude, aren't I? As he looked on aghast, the red-skinned youth bowed, low and deep at the waist. Hello. The boy beamed, all innocence and hope and light. I'm Magnus. A pleasure to make your acquaintance. Might you know where father is? Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you want the next part of this video, like, subscribe and comment down below and turn on the bell notification. And also check out other videos that I have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.